Okay, we're going to go through the problem that we were working on today. You're going to take the constant, which is -2, and we're going to list out all the factors of -2. So the only numbers that multiply to give you -2 would be +1 times -2, or you could have -1 times +2. And I'm going to use the plus minus to show that positive or -1 is a factor, so is positive or -2. Then we're going to take the leading coefficient, which is also a 2. And we're going to do the same thing. So what numbers multiply to give you a 2? Well, that would be +1 times +2, or you could have -1 times -2. So I'm going to put the plus minus to show positive and -1, positive and -2. They are all factors of +2. And then our list of potential zeros is any arrangement where the numerator comes from our list of factors of the constant, and our denominator comes from the list of factors of the leading coefficient. So I'm going to take the 1 from the numerator. I could have 1 over 1. I could have 1 over -1. I could have 1 over 2. I could have 1 over -2. So with this positive one here, I could have 1 over 1, 1 over -1, 1 over 2, and 1 over -2. Now, you're going to get a pretty long list like that, so usually we'll write it as positive or -1, because I know 1 divided by 1 is 1, so is 1 divided by -1 would be -1, and positive or -1/2. Then I'm going to do the same with this 2. I'm going to put 2 over 1. And then if I go 2 over 2, well, that's just 1. So this is my list of all the possibles. Yes, you could write them out individually like I started to, but hopefully you can see that that's a little bit more than we need to do. So there are 6 numbers in this list. To find the actual zeros, we're going to take our list and we're going to start testing with synthetic division. So I'm going to start with 1. I'm going to list out the coefficients of our polynomial. I'm going to work through synthetic. So I'm going to bring down the 2. I'm going to multiply the 2 times the 1 to give me 2. I'm adding straight down to give me 3. I'm going to go back. Every time again, you're going back to this 1 here. 1 times 3 is 3. -6 plus 3 is -3. 1 times -3 would be -3. -7 plus -3 would be -10. 1 times -10 would be -10. And -2 plus -10 is -12. So this did not work. We're going to keep going until we get a 0. So now I'm going to try -1. And you don't have to go in order. You could pick and choose whatever numbers on that list that you want. So again, I'm going to bring down the 2. Multiplying 2 times -1 is -2. Adding 1 and -2 is -1. Multiplying -1 and -1 is 1. Adding -6 and 1 is -5. Multiplying -1 times -5 would be 5. -7 plus 5 is -2. -2 times -1 is +2. -2 plus 2 would be 0. There we go. There's one of our actual zeros. Okay, so it becomes x equals, because remember actual zeros, these are actual x-intercepts. So that's x equals -1. If we're going backwards into the parentheses, you change the sign, and the parentheses that it came from had to be x plus 1. Because if we took x plus 1, set it equal to 0, the 1 would move over, making it -1 for our answer. Okay, we're going to keep going because if I look at this trinomial that I get when I factor out the x plus 1, this would be 2x to the third minus x squared minus 5x minus 2. And if you think about trying to factor that, we're not going to be able to factor this by grouping. So because it doesn't factor, we're going to keep going with synthetic division. Now, if I got a polynomial that did factor, I might stop and factor and get down to factored form from there. I'm going to go on to, most students will skip the 1/2, so I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to list out those numbers again along the top. I'm not going with the original, I'm going with the new one. It's a smaller polynomial, there's less numbers. I'm going to bring down the 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Sorry, my pen is having issues. -1 plus 4 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. -5 plus 6 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. -2 plus 2. Looks like we got another winner. So again, that means I had a 2 up here in the corner. That means 2 is a 0, and it came from x minus 2. We have to change the sign. Now I see that that answer down at the bottom has 3 numbers. That means it's a trinomial. Most likely we will be able to factor. If not, we could always use quadratic formula. We could use completing the square. To factor, 2 times 1 is 2. I need numbers that add to give you this 3. 2 and 1 will work. I'm going to rewrite the middle term as 2x plus 1x. And I'm going to factor by grouping, taking the first group and factoring out the GCF of 2x. Second group only has a 1 in common. 2x plus 1 times x plus 1. So remember, these are 2 more of our factors. I'm going to put those here. And if we set them each equal to 0, we will get our other zeros. Oh no. Sorry, I think my pen is dying on me. Okay, I'm going to move the 1 quickly. Okay, so we have all of our zeros. All we need to do is graph this. We're going to talk about end behavior. So end behavior comes from this leading term here. For the leading coefficient, I see that there is a positive 2 in front. Positive means that the right side is going up towards positive infinity. So the f of x, the y's, are going up, which means they're going towards positive infinity, as the x's are going to the right, which is also positive infinity. Now the 4 as the exponent is an even number. Even means that the ends go in the same direction. So as the x's go towards, oh, and it looks like I forgot the x in there. As the x's go towards negative infinity, as we're going to the left, the y's are also going up towards positive infinity. So both ends are going up towards positive infinity. I'm going to graph -1 here. I'm going to graph positive 2 here. Sorry about that. Hold on. Okay, so I have -1 graphed. I have +2. -1 is a repeat, so we're going to make sure that we know that since -1 appeared twice on our list, we're going to bounce back there. And I'm going to put a dot for -1/2. I know that both of our arrows are going up. I'm going to start at one end. I'm going to pass through the first point. I'm going to come back up through the second. And normally I'd pass through the next, but we know -1 appeared twice, so it's actually going to touch and come back up. So make sure the first term, the 2x to the fourth, is what told us about the arrows. The -1, -1/2, and +2 came from the roots. We want to make sure that since the -1 appeared twice, that's why I have the bounce back there.